schools, but with a very strong emphasis at the high school level. There's a need to expand that. You certainly would be looking for parents of elementary and middle age students to become part of a Music Boosters program.
Comments? I'd just like to add to discuss briefly the issue of outside funding for what would not be materials or instruments or something like that. And I know that in the past the committee and other committees in town have frowned on that because there's no guarantee of that money going forward. And then if the money dries up, there's no money in the budget from the town to replace that. So I think I would hesitantly approach that, but I do think that we're getting to a time when we have to think about those kind of things. And if they come and go, they come and go. But if you get that private money for a year, 2, 3, at least it's a year, 2, 3 where you have something for the kids. So I think it's something we need to keep an open mind toward. It's not anything I support right now because of I think the havoc it causes with the budget. And Mr. Nelson, I'm sure, would agree with that, because you start working private money into the budget that's not going to be there in 2 years, and it just causes all kinds of difficulties.
Curious, how many kids participate, or do we have the same level of participation in the after-school program that's being offered as if it were during the school day?
It's probably about, we expect about 50%. I think right now the latest numbers are about 35 4th and 5th graders, 35 to 38. It's from among all 3 elementary schools are participating in these lessons.
Do we have any way of finding out if it's because of the cost of the program or if it's interfering in other school activities?
We did a survey back at the start of the school year to determine whether or not parents would be interested in having their children participate. We could certainly follow that up with, why didn't you? Is it a money issue? Is it competing with other activities? My feeling is it's probably a combination of all of that. It's also held at one school, so we're holding it at the Batchelder School, and so there's a transportation. You need to get your child to that school on a particular day of the week. Right.
Are the teachers seeing any benefit to not having kids leave the classroom this time? I mean, we have to think outside the box on how we're going to provide music education. Maybe after school is the best avenue. Maybe we just haven't zeroed in on the right program. But one of the benefits I would see is not having kids pulled out of an academic class.
I think that's, with the reduced time in learning, it just puts more pressure on the classroom teacher to move through the curriculum for the students during the day. So this does provide a little more time. But in the past, the small group lessons would have been once a week for about half an hour, and then there would have been time for the band teacher to pull those groups of kids, different instruments together to have a very beginning band. In the middle school, of course, that was scheduled as a separate class, and that did not interfere with fundamental, the core curriculum. And similarly, the chorus program varied among the 3 elementary schools. Sometimes it would be scheduled early in the morning, maybe with a little overlap, children would come in early, and then it would be for the first opening exercise. And in at least 1 or 2 of the schools, it was actually put into the school day.
I do see one question in the audience, because she made her way through the snow to get here tonight, and because I know she's going to be really succinct and to the point, I'll let you ask that question.
Thank you. My question is for you, Dr. Troughton. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to integrate the musical instruments into an after-school program, but what about chorus? Was that discussed as well?
When I met with the staff back in September, we talked about what we could do for this year. The feeling was with chorus, because again, you would be doing this after school among all 3 schools, and it involves even a larger number of children. You think about the chorus at the Batch in the little school and the hood school, and then what it would look like if it was an all-town kind of chorus. The logistics became even more complicated. So we decided to try band as something that we thought we could achieve for fee, and then decided let's take a look and see how that would work out. I think the flip side is, while we wanted to think outside of the box, I know that the music staff is concerned that if we end up moving in the direction where it's a fee-based program for what should be part of the curriculum, that ultimately it will be easy to keep this modified or significantly reduced model as the way to go, and that to return to the level that we should be at, we'd be fighting even a further uphill battle. So we're playing that out, and in the middle, kids certainly are losing. We're losing a very rich experience, extremely beneficial experience that should be part of their life, not part of a fee for those families that either can afford it or B, can find the time to get their children involved. And I think with music, you never know who you're going to reach and touch as early as 3rd and 4th grade. This could become a lifelong aspiration for them, or a vocation for them, or something that lights in them a creative spirit of learning. And we know that there is a tremendous amount of research that says that students who, or a curriculum that integrates the arts, builds a very strong foundation for future learning in kids. And so part of it is the hesitancy of creating a system that is really so far away from where we should be that it's going to be difficult to get back.
We have, as a committee, we've done everything we could to preserve the smallest class sizes that we were able to. And we're seeing signs of stress across the system, I think, right now. The arts is one of the ways, physical education is another way in which those stresses can be relieved. And frankly, given the budget prospects for next year, I don't see how we can maintain even a semblance of small class sizes. And I just make an argument right now for trying to reinstate the arts and physical education, even at the expense of class sizes. Because frankly, I don't think what we're doing right now is working.
And that's a good segue into our next item of discussion, which is the fiscal 09 budget development. We're going to be tackling this a lot over the next several months. Tonight, I think Dr. Troden has some interesting ideas to talk about tackling some of these problems. And also, Dr. Troden and Mrs. Vaca might want to give a report on the Finance Planning Committee meeting and what they heard there in terms of revenues. I believe the governor is due to introduce his budget on January 23rd, I think. I saw our news release from the Mass Taxpayers Foundation on Friday or Thursday that's forecasting a 3.8% revenue increase for the coming fiscal year, and that's not good news. It's one of the lowest increases that they've forecast in a while. So with all that as a backdrop, I'll turn it over to maybe Mrs. Vaca wants to give a little update on the finance planning meeting at this time.
We don't have any revenue projections as of yet, even though we've ramped up the budget process. It's really not wise to try to work over revenue projections that are too early. general government's been directed to work budgets in the 3% range, and that's the starting point. Most likely they will be cut from there. As we all know, the biggest increases that the town experiences is in the employee benefits area. And there's no relief in that area as of yet. And as, another segue, there will be no capital article proposed for April town meeting, so that all available revenues will be dedicated to operating budgets.
And so are we working under that 3% guideline now also, or? No? Okay. We're working under our own, whatever we determine and come up with basically.
Well, and I think that that's really part of the discussion that I think needs to happen tonight. So far, we have, or Carl and I and the administrative team have presented a status quo budget that that is 5.7% higher than FY08. And it's probably helpful to go through that budget again, and I'll let Carl walk through that. Beyond the status quo, and let me just define here, the status quo budget is the amount of money that is needed to run the school district next year under the same conditions that we presently have. So it'll take just under $1.2 million to do that. It's not adding any staff, it's not letting any staff go, it's simply carrying it forward. So when we hear that the town is looking at the town side, the municipal side of government is looking at a 3.3%, I'm not sure whether that's status quo or how they're defining it. But from the school standpoint, we're defining status quo as a 5.7% budget. It keeps everything in place this year, moves it forward, and also incorporates any fixed increases anticipated in areas such as contract negotiations, step increases that would be due staff, special education, known special education increases, and modest or minimal increases in utilities, and I'll let Carl go over the details on that. We have also provided the committee with the cost of restoring the positions that were lost this year. And that would increase the FY09 budget over the current year budget by 8.5%, or about $1.7, $1.8 million. And then we have also reviewed the recommendations to improve the quality of our schools, looking at issues around class size, looking at continuing to look at special ed and other areas that we feel will go beyond restoring, but move us closer to where we should be as a forward-moving school district. Right now, we're a backward-moving school district. And a status quo budget requires just short of 1.2 million, which is 5.7% increase. And when you compare that to the municipal side, as Mrs. Vargas said, you learned the finance planning team, they're looking at a 3% with the anticipation of a cut. Not knowing what the governor is going to do, making projections, conservative projections about revenue estimates, we have been told that we may want to start planning for